What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about how Americans who visit Norway can avoid being the stereotypical annoying American. So today, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, how do you not be the annoying American? So they say, hello, I'm an American traveling to Norway. I love it here. And I know that it's an idea held by a lot of Europeans that Americans are loud, brash, annoying, insensitive, ignorant, stupid, dirty, rude, and entitled. Oh, yeah. I've heard I've heard this stuff before that a lot of Europeans think about Americans, and some of it is definitely true. I mean, I can't deny it. But this person's just asking, what is the attitude towards Americans and American tourists in Norway? And how can Americans avoid being annoying? Tusen talk. Oh, 1,000 thanks, right? So, as an American, I've heard that we're known for being bad tourists, and I think today is a good opportunity for learning about what we can specifically do when visiting Norway to behave ourselves. So I'm really interested to hear what Norwegians have to say about all this. So let's take a look, starting with adjust your volume to the same levels as everyone around you. That'll come a long way. This is like the number one comment in this discussion. So, first and foremost, us Americans are too loud. Is that it? I mean, I get that. Man, I've I don't know if I'm like too loud, but I definitely know I have friends, American friends, who are just have loud voices. Just loud. Like that's their default voice. And sometimes I want to be like, just bring it down, calm down. Goodness. So it's not just when we're traveling other places. Yeah. It's just kind of a lot of Americans baseline because I think a lot of Americans don't really realize how they're affecting other people. That's kind of the crux of this whole thing, isn't it? A lot of Americans just don't consider others, which sounds really terrible when I say it, but somehow our society functions. Can you hear the next table's conversation? No. Talk at a volume so they can't hear you. So this is the rule of thumb. Match the volume of those around you. This is a very foreign concept for most Americans, I have to admit. And I mean, a lot of Americans do more than this, like talk on the phone very loud. There's Americans who play music in public. God, when I've lived in apartment buildings where people drive around the apartments in their car, blasting loud music. It's crazy. It's crazy how little some Americans care. That's for sure. So, first rule about volume, match the volume of those around you. That's the good rule of thumb. You shouldn't, people shouldn't be able to hear you from a couple tables away at a restaurant. All right, don't be those things. Like all of the things we mentioned, like annoying and rude, and don't be those things. And don't feel sorry. Don't feel sorry for speaking English. Most Norwegians speak excellent English. Okay, yeah, I think a lot of Americans would be a little nervous. Well, some Americans. Some Americans wouldn't care. But some Americans would be nervous going to Norway, not speaking any Norwegian, and worried that we're coming across as rude, not knowing the native language. But this Norwegian is saying, don't feel sorry for speaking English. Most Norwegians speak excellent English. Is this true? So I know in some countries, like I think France, in France, it's almost offensive to not even try to speak French. You have to try. In Norway, can Americans just speak English and it's okay, or do you like to see us putting in a little effort, like hello, hello, like something, some kind of greeting or something? You absolutely aren't required to learn Norwegian. Okay, okay. Because I think the original poster here was saying, I wish I had enough time to learn Norwegian rather than resorting to English. English makes me feel annoying and rude. That's what the original poster said. So there's people saying, you don't have to learn Norwegian. We're a small population. It's nice when someone can say a few words. Okay, but we all speak English, so you're good. Huh. Oh, that's really kind, actually. That's really good to know. So, and yeah, I know a lot of Norwegians are excellent at English. So, it's actually a great country for Americans to visit in terms of language. It's just that we have to learn to behave ourselves a little bit, which is what this lesson is all about. So don't talk super loud. That's probably the number one thing Americans do wrong. It's funny because I think living in the United States, I've stopped noticing how loud we are. I've stopped noticing. And I've never been to another country before, so it'd be interesting for me to hear what people from other country, if they have just a lower volume in general. Because I keep seeing this over and over again. Americans, stop being loud. Huh. I'm interested how loud Europeans are. Don't sit next to strangers on public transport unless there's no other seats. This comes up in so many videos about Norway. This actually seems like this should be against the law in Norway. Don't sit next to strangers on the bus. The few times I've been on a train or a bus, Americans absolutely don't care. They will sit next to you. They will be loud. They'll say something to you, even if you look like you don't want to be talked to. Don't talk about Donald Trump. Okay. Be be nice, and most of the time people are nice in return. That's a good rule of thumb there as well. Just be nice. Most Americans are genuinely nice. I have to defend Americans a little bit here. I am one of them. Most Americans are nice. It's just, if Americans are being rude, it's because we don't realize it. Which, that's not really an excuse, but I'm just going to say it. I'm a Norwegian living in the United States, and I have adopted many United States habits. Some of the cultural faux pas I make when I go to Norway. Oh, interesting. Okay, this is a Norwegian who has become sort of Americanized. Okay, so making small talk with strangers. You don't do that in Norway. Okay. Compliment strangers. Really? You can't even compliment. That's no good? You can't even compliment strangers. Is that considered weird? I guess that's considered weird. In America, it's a little weird. It's not like we're all just complimenting strangers all the time. It's just that when a stranger says something to me, I'm not shocked. I might be shocked what they're saying, but I'm not shocked that they are saying something to me. Asking questions in silent spaces like elevators. Okay, so in Norway, there's just situations where you just don't talk. You just don't talk. And I think for Americans, there's a bit of a learning curve. Because in America, there's really no limitations. There's really no social limitations on when you can talk to people. It's kind of freeing in a sense, but if you don't like to talk to people, it can be very annoying. This is a stereotype. Many Norwegians love small talk with strangers. Is this true? I'm getting conflicting opinions here. I'm 100% the stereotype. Don't talk to me. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Depending on what type of person you are, not all Norwegians are the same. But for the purposes of this video, we are generalizing here. We're just talking about the Norwegian culture in general. And in general, socially, you don't just talk to random people, I think. If you're a tourist, people will have no problem with you speaking English. Okay, good, great. They'll probably be happy you can do that. Right? Yeah, if tourists are from all over the world, it's nice when we speak English, I guess, because Norwegians mostly speak English too. Don't talk too loudly. Oh my God. This has come up so much in this discussion. How Americans visiting Norway can avoid being annoying. Number one, don't be so loud. God, that's the number one thing for sure. Norwegians also don't talk to strangers normally, but don't be afraid to ask for help. Most people will be happy to help if they can. So Norwegians, you typically don't bug each other. But if you talk to a stranger for a good reason, then it's fine. Basically. Norwegians don't like talking to strangers in public, but they do love helping people. Yeah, okay, that's a great way to say it. I really like the Norwegian culture, the Norwegian social culture. Like, yeah, please don't talk to me unless you need help or if it's something very important, and just don't be so loud. I love that. I'd love if America adopted some of these these cultural norms. Don't expect to be invited home for dinner. We definitely don't invite strangers home to dinner. What else do we have here? This is pretty fascinating. I love hearing about this kind of Norwegians' thoughts on Americans. It's really interesting. English is the lingua franca of today, and every single person uses it when traveling. Okay. If you there are some special rules for you. Speak English if you have to. If you don't understand the concept of an inside voice on public transportation, don't walk around telling everyone you're a Norwegian or a Viking because your great-great-grandparents emigrated from Scandinavia. Yeah, this is another... Yeah, I don't think Americans realize how silly this comes across. This is such an American thing to do. Do like a DNA test, like one of those DNA tests where you mail your spit in and they tell you the countries that your ancestors came from. And Americans are like, "Oh yes, I'm part Scottish." Oh, and it's like, you've never been to Scotland in your life. Stop. I'm sure there's Norwegian. I'm sure there's Americans who see their ancestor is Norwegian and are like, "Oh, I'm a Viking. I'm a Viking." Oh, it's like, stop. Just I totally agree with that. The only thing Americans do that annoys me is they tend to be loud. Gosh, I really think I must just be used to this. I think all Americans are used to this. Because, like, I know some people who I think are loud, but on a day-to-day basis, I never think about it. I never think about it being annoying. So I think in America, we just have a different standard. We're just all so loud and we don't realize it. What else? Don't have a MAGA hat. Basic decency goes a long way. Please and thank you and that sort of thing. Pleasant demeanor, a smile, a relaxed attitude. Just be nice. It's like someone else said earlier in this. Just be nice. Tactically, you want to leave room for others to talk. Don't dominate the conversation. Yeah, Americans can definitely talk too much. Okay, ultimately be yourself. Be false in an honest way. What? Like, be yourself, but try to act less American. Oh no. Don't worry about the language. This is not France. That's what I was thinking. I think in France they get mad at you if you don't speak French. But Norwegians will switch over to English. Okay. Most people in Norway have met Americans in real life and know not to trust the stereotypes. Personally, the Americans I have met in real life have been calm, polite, and pleasant. That's what I like to see. I really think most Americans are reasonable. Like many Americans are very polite and like to help you and will talk and just want to talk. Just want to talk to you. So that's really cool that this Norwegian has had positive experiences with Americans in real life because it's easy to generalize. Norwegians get generalized, the Americans get generalized, stereotyped. It's different than talking to a person in real life, one on one. If you feel that people are acting reserved and closed off, well, that's just our Norwegian stereotype, okay? Very good. As a loud American living in Oslo, I can attest the stereotype of Americans being loud is generally true. This is from an American living in Oslo. Wow. At least as far as I'm concerned, I never realized how loud I talk until I started riding the train. I'm usually 10 decibels louder than everyone else. Wow. Wow! I think Americans are just louder. Like, we just don't realize it. Um, wow. You can learn Norsk and maybe even be good at it, but any Norwegian will hear the American the second you speak. So just own it. Really, even if we speak Norwegian, we have like an American accent or something. A lot of people saying it's okay at speaking English, which is really nice. Jeg, jeg forstår ikke norsk. What does that mean? Does that mean I don't speak Norwegian? Or American adventurer here, invader here. It's not so much using English that marks you as an ugly American. Almost everyone you'll meet can speak English and won't mind it. I've been here a year and a half, and the only person who couldn't speak English was straight from Russia. To avoid being the annoying American, avoid breaking the social taboos that Americans don't notice that we're breaking. Watch your volume. Say thank you is very important. Oh, say thank you. Okay. Don't expect everything to work the same as in the United States. Yep. If you're looking at this post, you probably won't have any trouble. That's true. That's probably very true. If you're an American, like reading this stuff, you're probably a reasonable person. It's really the Americans who just wander off into the world without a care, without learning anything about the culture that they're visiting. And also, there's Americans who go to other countries and act like they should behave like Americans or that they can behave like America. And that's just incredibly disrespectful. And I know those people exist, but as for me, I really enjoyed learning about this. It's kind of funny to hear what Norwegians have to say about American stereotypes and really how true they are, especially the whole loud thing. And it seems like Americans, like we really have to actually put in a bit of effort to behave ourselves in Norway. There are actually things we can do. So that was really cool to learn about. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. If you're Norwegian, what are some things Americans can avoid doing to not be so annoying, especially when Americans come to Norway and need to adjust to Norwegian culture? That'd be cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and learning about Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.